Next question, please. Yes, sir.
You talked a little bit about the broadening of the tax base and our new tax code that's come through. And one concern that I have with that is, although it does lower the top tax bracket from 8 down to 6.5%, which I think is great, by broadening the sales tax to services and stuff, I'm concerned about this hitting lower income people who aren't already paying much in their sales tax, but are now having to pay taxes on services such as fixing their car and other things that they absolutely need.
That's another great question. But the legislature actually thought about that, and there are going to be some tax credits on when you file for income tax. If you're low income, you will get a credit. We have earned income tax credit, but that's been built into it. About 95% of Maine taxpayers will receive a benefit from this new tax code. In other words, they will pay lower taxes, including people low income. The Maine Center on Economic Policy championed this. A lot of the organizations in Maine that were advocating for low-income people were supportive of this change in the tax code. So you're right. There are clearly, Alec, there are going to be some services that will be taxed that weren't, but on the whole, most people in Maine will benefit. And with respect to that top income tax, anybody who makes over $250,000, it's not 6.5, it's 6.85, so it is graduated, so there's some progressivity there. Yes, sir?
So you just said that 95% of people are going to be better off, yet this was proposed as a revenue neutral bill. So does that mean that those 5% are going to be taxed so much higher that another 95% are actually better off? Like how are 95% of people better off if no new money was taken in, so they're not paying in any extra money? Does that mean that those 5% are paying in enough to make the other 95% better off?
No, it means people from Massachusetts and New York and New Hampshire and Connecticut are going to be paying more Maine taxes. That's what it means.
Right.
The way that the tax code was expanded, we'll be exporting more of our taxes to out-of-staters, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. People come to Maine, they use this place. In the future, that's a good question because it also prompts the issue. A lot of people said, how about a seasonal sales tax? How about we're going to raise the tax on the lodging tax. How about a seasonal lodging tax, even raise it more? I'm just saying, these are issues. We're going to have to use our noodle to use tax policy, I believe, to make sure we bring more money into the state. If we're talking about investing in education, in R&D, in early childhood, we've got to think about ways to do that where we don't burden Maine people, but we export this to people who are coming and using our state. So yeah, it's exporting taxes to other states. Yes, please.
What's your view on charter schools in the state of Maine?
Well, I'm not a big opponent of charter schools. There's a place for them, but I'm going to tell you right now, I think there's a lot of innovation going on in public schools in Maine right now. And I know you're going to hear more about this, but the Commissioner of Education and the legislature is looking to infuse more creativity into our public schools. My concern about charter schools and starting them up is that we take money from struggling public schools now and we skim some of the smartest students over. So those are concerns that I have. As long as those are dealt with, I think there is a place for charter schools. We have the Maine School of Science and Mathematics in Limestone, as you know, which is an example of a charter school. But I'm just going to tell you, public schools, they get beaten up a lot and they do a good job. I mentioned earlier, great teachers make great schools, great parents make greater schools, and we need to realize that it's not all, it's hard being a teacher nowadays. You probably know that. It's hard, and we need to make sure that teachers have time for their professional development and other things. But I would say that we're lucky to have the great public school teachers that we do have in Maine. Yes, sir.
On the topic of beating up on public education, the current state of the university system has put each campus in a very unpleasant situation. There's a law that says there will always be 7 campuses, and both the board trustees and the chancellor are unwilling to talk about significant tuition increases for the next few years, and there's a $60 million budget deficit. Now that puts each campus, and Farmington in particular, because we're one of the only campuses that actually balances our budget well, in a very bad situation. Now, what would you, as a governor, do to help change that situation and make it a more fair and equitable scenario?
That's a very good question. Yeah.
I got a smart class.
Yeah. I don't have the whole answer to that question. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't have the whole answer to a lot of these questions, but that's going to be the big challenge for the next governor. I'll tell you what I would do. I would gather a lot of information. There are efficiencies to be found. We have 7 campuses in the University of Maine system. We have Maine Maritime Academy. We have 7 community college campuses, and we have a number of learning centers. We have a state, you know how big Maine is. We have 1.3 million people. We only have in our university system, it's about 34,000 people or something. And then we have in our community colleges maybe 14,000. We have about 800 or 900 at Castine, at Maine Maritime. You could take all the students in the higher ed in Maine, and you could put them in a lot of the single large state universities in the Midwest. You know what I mean? We're talking about not a whole lot of people, but we're all scattered out, and we've got big challenges. And we want to give everybody a world-class education. This is a challenge. It's about finding efficiencies in administration. It's about maximizing distance learning. And it's about figuring out, I think, how to do better with the community colleges and the universities. Now, some are working wonderfully well together, and some are not working as well together. But we've got to figure this out, because if we don't have a world-class, higher education system, we're not just going to lose our young people. We're not going to lose you after you graduate from college. We're going to lose you after you graduate from high school. And that we don't want to do. So we've got to make sure that tuition is affordable and that the quality in our universities is high. I don't have all the answers right now, but we need to, and it may be, we have a system, we have a community college system, we have a university system, we have a university system with the chancellor's office. I hear a lot of talk about what that costs and all. I hear people talk about a unitary system, one system. I hear people talk about a single university as opposed to having 7. David Flanagan, who did this study, he talked about we don't have a university system, we have a confederation of freestanding universities. And we have this chancellor's office. We need a system. We need to make sure we maximize administration, purchasing as much as we can, and then we maximize distance learning. And with respect to some schools, we may have to look at what we can do most efficiently. It may not look like it looks now. I don't have the full answer to your question, but boy, is that going to be a challenge. And I'm going to, from day one, that's going to be something I'm going to start on.